as you can see, I'm not dead. So, as you've probably noticed, there's been a lack of videos for like over a month. And that's just simply because I've been busy doing personal stuff that I've had to sort out, and I've not really had time to do videos, and like it's just all been a bit awkward. But I'm back. Don't know if I'm necessarily gonna have a proper schedule just yet. I want to ease back into it, making videos again, and I don't want to burn myself out. But I will try to upload a lot more consistently and not go on like a month break. That's probably just like a one-off thing for a while, but yeah, so I'm back, and the first video, as you've read by the title, is going to be my review for the Suicide Squad. And yeah, this film came out like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago nearly here in the UK, so it's a bit late, but you know, it's one of my favourite films that's come out in a very long time, especially since like Endgame, so within the last 2 years at least. So I just really wanted to talk about it, whether anyone sees this video or not. But yeah, so I've got some points next to me on what I wanted to touch on in like subjects of positives, so it's a very long list of positives. Spoiler alert. By the way, yeah, this video contains spoilers for the film, but again, it's been out for nearly a month, so if you really want to see it, or like watch videos people talk about it, you clearly want to see it, so you may as well go watch it. I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, so the main thing is, I love this film. This film was really incredible, from the storytelling with the characters and the just overall feel of the film was a much needed improvement for DC, and this film definitely revived my interest in the DC films, which was dwindling from the last few films, which haven't been great. And my god, is it an upgrade from the first 2016 Suicide Squad. I don't want to ever speak of that film ever again. I rewatched it after watching the new one, and it's just night and day. The new one is so much vastly superior in every single way. It's great. I'm glad there's finally a good, especially really good DC film, and there's been some alright ones, but this is by far my favourite DC film, and it's probably up there as one of my top 5 comic book movie films, so it's definitely up there with a lot of the Marvel films for me. And yeah, well, my next point was, it gets the Suicide Squad right. In the first film from 2016, a lot of the villains in it are A-list and B-list villains, and that makes it feel like you're not going to kill any of them off. And literally there was only like 5 people or 6 or so, I don't really remember because I just got so bored watching it. But you know, I think, yeah, the only 2 characters that die in it aren't really characters that are well known. But you had like Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang. You knew they weren't going to kill them off. And then in this one, you've got a large team at the start, and like 90% of them die straight away. And that is what the Suicide Squad needs to be. It needs to be sort of bigger teams with a lot of people dying, because that's the point of the Suicide Squad. It's supposed to be these just expendable villains that Amanda Waller and her like shady side of the government are using just to like send on these suicide missions to get things done. And it's like they don't care if they die because they're villains. So which I'm glad this film got that right, and that's what I enjoyed. And it definitely threw me off as well, because I'm so used to like the MCU where barely anyone dies, like characters you're introduced to straight away. And this film, you have Team 1 at the start of the film, and there's like maybe like just less than 10 on that team, and only 2 of them survive, and then until like later on in the film. But like it was just fun to watch, and just great to see the true, like how the Suicide Squad is truly supposed to be on the big screen. So yeah, I mean, next point, I'm gonna like stop saying this is my next point. I need to structure my videos a lot more professionally. I just speak in ramble. But yeah, so all of the performances in the film were exceptional. The 7 main characters, so yeah, by like the deaths of Team 1, and then we find out when there's Team 2, there's 7 main characters, and they are Nanaue or King Shark, Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Peacemaker, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, and Bloodsport. And all 7 are phenomenal characters. I cared for all of these characters, and that's the funny thing is, you find out, like, if you look back at like the origins from the comics, barely any of these characters are like characters that have been taken seriously before. Bloodsport is not a very well-known character at all, or like Polka Dot Man is a very laughable character. And James Gunn's genius makes them very likable characters, and these are some of my favourite characters, or DC characters at least, in a long time, and I enjoyed all seven, and that's why when deaths come later on in the film, they hit harder than like the ones that before, because again, it's structured so well where you're introduced to these characters, but you're not given much information about them, which symbolises that you probably shouldn't care about them, and then they die straight away, and you're like, well, I don't really feel anything because you don't know anything about them, and it's like, that's how it's supposed to be, whereas you know by the end of these main seven, when one of them, or no, two of them die, one of them's presumed dead, but when two of them die, like, it hits a lot harder because you followed them throughout the film, and James Gunn's exceptional writing has made them interesting characters, and you care for them. At least I did, and you know, they're just these villains who, like, you know, at least B, C list. Harley Quinn's an A list, Captain Boomerang A or B now, and then, you know, there was, not really many higher up characters, and honestly, I really enjoyed them. Like, I'm quite surprised, and I'm happy to be surprised by that. But yeah, it's just phenomenal characters. It's just well done, James Gunn. Well done. So, one thing that I really enjoyed about this film as well, compared to the other one, the first one was a lot more darker, and it, like, visually as well, whereas it didn't seem there was a lot of comedy, and like, it just felt very dark, and I can understand that because it's dark, but what I liked about this film is it just didn't take itself too seriously at all. The main villain was a starfish, so already from there, you know, it was just insane, like bonkers, because it's just like, what's going on? But there was a lot of comedy in it, and it wasn't just, you know, dark, gritty, which DC should be. I mean, DC is a lot more darker, usually visually in the comics as well, than Marvel, but I liked that this did feel like a comic book movie. Like, it felt quite vibrant and bright in certain spots and certain characters' costumes, and I just thought I enjoyed the comedy in it, and I know I know that the jokes and stuff didn't land for a lot of people. I've seen sort of reactions and reviews and stuff, but for me personally, a lot of them did, and that's just down to my humour just being very weird and very non-specific to anything. So, and that's probably why, but, you know, yeah, like, the humour in it, I really liked it, especially, like, the competitiveness between Bloodsport and Peacemaker. That was a really good dynamic, where they're sort of coming back and forth and, like, trying to shaft one another, and just like that, and, you know, that whole story, but that whole part in the story was great. Just other little jokes sprinkled in throughout the film, and yeah, I think the next main thing that I really enjoyed, and this is again what was missing from the first one, is this film was actually R-rated, so it was a lot more gory and graphic. And again, connecting back to my second point, it feels more Suicide Squad. It's supposed to be graphic and gory, and that's what I feel anyway. And yeah, this film gets that right, and, you know, it has very graphic kills and deaths and stuff sprinkled throughout the film, and it was enjoyable, and it made the film more enjoyable, and it made it more funny in certain bits, and just more entertaining to watch. Whereas in the first one, like, there's barely anything, and in this one you've got Nanaue ripping people in half, you've got Bloodsport blowing people up with a bullet, and then you've got, I don't know, Polka Dot Man disintegrating people. You've got, like, Captain Boomerang cutting off this, like, guy's sort of scalp with the boomerang. So yeah, it made it a lot more enjoyable, and especially for me anyway, recently, within recent years or so, I've gotten into the more graphic sort of style videos, I've gotten into the more graphic style films and shows and stuff, and I just makes it feel like it's more realistic a lot of the time. Not horror films, but action with gore, it makes it feel more realistic to me and more enjoyable, so that's another reason why I really loved it, and a big positive to me. And yeah, as I spoke about earlier, I just loved all the main characters. I mean, there's 7, and they're all just handled very well, and written well, and James Gunn again did a very good job with this film. I mean, there's definitely, obviously, I feel like I wish, it's just me as someone who gets easily attached to characters. I think it's just my natural desire that I'm annoyed that I couldn't get attached to characters at the start who die straight away. But that's a good thing, that's what I mean. It took my expectations away and it changed everything. From my expectations from Marvel films to this, where I want to get attached to every character, but I understand that I can't, because that's the point. You're not supposed to care about a lot of these characters. And then for certain ones you do get attached, and then they die, and it makes it feel more emotional. So it's very well written, and I just think the Suicide Squad as a whole is an interesting concept anyway. So it's just all enjoyable content to watch. Again, I'm pretty much going on about the same beats, but I'm just repeating certain ideas and points. So I'll just move on to sort of my last main positive thing that I wanted to touch on, which was Amanda Waller. And again, I guess she's also kind of a main character who obviously sort of in the comics and in the universe put together the Suicide Squad. She was alright in the first one, and in this one Viola Davis again plays Amanda Waller, and she's incredible. It just, in this one especially, you just see how like evil she is, like, and you don't like, it just shows how shady this Task Force X and her side of this like government is. And especially the point where you sort of, I mean, I guess you could sort of put it together where you're following Team 1 and they die, and you find out Blackguard set the team up, and then later on when Bloodsport his explosion, and he asks like Amanda Waller, what was that? She says, oh, it's just a diversion. You find out she intended for people on Team 1 to die. She sent them in as bait. So you kind of put together the idea that she let Blackguard actually set the team up on purpose to get them killed, just to distract them. And it's just a really messed up concept, and it's such a cool concept and a cool idea to do with this character. And she's a cool villain in herself, And I guess I should also touch on, I mean, I've not said anything too much about him, and he's the main villain, but Starro the Conqueror is the villain of the film. And I think this would come into a bit of a negative. I wish he was in it more. He's not in it too much, but I can understand. There's only so much you could do with it, but there's certain bits where I feel like they could have done a bit more. But he was an intimidating villain, certainly for what he was. It was creepy with the starfish lashing onto the faces. That was disgusting, and that's coming from watching this film with other bits of gore in it. And I think that was some of the most disgusting parts, where just the idea of it latching onto you and controlling it's just really creepy. But he was a cool villain, and he's definitely like not one I thought I'd ever see from comics to big screen. So, and I think it's a stupid villain, and it sort of fits this concept of the Suicide Squad, where again this film doesn't take itself too seriously. So it was really great to see him, and hopefully if James Gunn gets to do another one, we get to see any more other sort of goofy villains like that the Suicide Squad gets teamed up against, or whatever he wants to do with it. But yeah, I guess it's time to talk about my sort of negatives. This isn't like anything against the film, but it's just my personal like nitpicks about what I didn't like necessarily, but I can understand where they were coming from. So my number one, I think, problem with the film is just killing off Captain Boomerang, like in the first 10 minutes at least. It's just, and again, this isn't really a proper negative, obviously this is just personal opinion, most people probably don't care, but I just don't know, as one of the few things I liked in the first one, Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, in the first 5 minutes where he is alive, I really enjoyed him in this film, and I liked he actually had a proper costume and a proper design and everything. I liked his cocky attitude, and I liked that it alluded to him and Harley being on so many missions together. This one where he's just got so cocky. So I guess like in a sense like, oh, him dying is just like, it's just kind of funny in itself, because he's like, oh, all these people are gonna die, I'm gonna live because I've been on so many other missions before. But obviously he dies, and I guess it's not really his fault anyway. Like, it's caused by Mongao jumping on the helicopter, and it cuts up the trees which impale him, and then the helicopter cuts him up. But it's just a shame because I thought he would have been really great throughout the film, and not to say I think he should have stayed the whole film, but I think keeping him around for a bit longer, then maybe killing him off. But damn, it's just a shame because Jai Courtney he really suits the role, I think, and it's just a shame that he gets killed off so soon. But again, yeah, I loved his design and like the glow in the dark like boomerangs, and that was cool in the night. But damn, it's just a shame. But as I said, it's not really a proper negative because I can understand why they did it. So the three characters that came back from the first one is Rick Flag, Harley, and Captain Boomerang. And I mean, they're not going to kill Harley, which we'll talk about this in a minute. But Rick Flag gets killed off, and then Captain Boomerang does get killed off. And I feel like if I can understand if you know, before you find out Rick Flag dies, I kind of thought like, well, one of them's got to die at least, and I was like, they're not going to kill Harley. And I feel like as the slogan for the film was, "Don't get too attached." I just feel like it makes sense that they killed Captain Boomerang off because it subverts your expectations. Like, okay, I didn't think they would kill Captain Boomerang. I know a lot of people like Captain Boomerang, and he's just died. So I feel like it just shows you like anyone can die, and I can follow that point and I can understand that point. But again, I think James Gunn probably knew he was going to upset a lot of people killing him off, and I think that was the idea in mind. I think it's to show you, like, I'm not messing around, this is proper the Suicide Squad, we're properly going to kill people off that you have interest in. And then obviously Rick Flag dies as well, so like, that's even more sad. But yeah, I mean, again, I can understand it, but it's just a little nitpick that I had where, I don't know, it's just, I hope we get to see Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang in like a prequel series maybe, but obviously maybe they would want to see how the Peacemaker series does so far, which that starts in January. So I can understand, you know, killing him off, but, you know. Okay, so my final little gripe with the thing is, including Harley Quinn. Now, before you go down in the comments and send me loads of hate, which I'll probably already get anyway, it's not Margot Robbie's performance. She is exceptional. This is arguably her best performance as Harley Quinn. But it's just, and you know, Harley Quinn is a fun character. I admit, like, she's a character I enjoy, and she was great in this. But I think she just slightly ruins the point of the Suicide Squad, because the whole tagline of the film was "Don't get too attached," where you're having this character who you know they're not going to kill off because she's so popular, and arguably since they got rid of Batfleck and they're getting rid of Henry Cavill, she's one of the last few things DC has that people have interest in. So I just feel like it kind of ruins the immersion a bit. Like, anyone can die, but except Harley. So I just feel like maybe you could have not included her, but you know, I did still enjoy her, and it's just a little nitpick I had. But yeah, other than that, the film again was phenomenal. Phenomenal. The film was phenomenal. Phenomenal? I can't speak. The film was great. The film was really great. You know, again, it's gonna get a bit of hate, and some people aren't gonna like it. That's fine, but I'm just happy it's finally done service to the Suicide Squad. Like, just, I can't believe how much the first one messed it up. But what I forgot to do with Black Widow, and what I'm going to start doing for all my movie reviews, is obviously rate it out of 5. Like I probably should have thought about that in the first one. So yeah, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. Thoroughly enjoyed it. That's just on my enjoyment level, especially. Like, again, my favourite film in a long time, and arguably I like this more than a lot of the MCU films. So, and I've got an MCU shirt on. Well, so. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this film thoroughly, and hopefully James Gunn comes back at some point in the future. But I know he's going to kill it with the Peacemaker series, and I cannot wait to see that. And I definitely recommend to see this film. But I probably shouldn't be doing this because you've probably already seen it, because it's spoilers, and if you haven't seen it, and you didn't care about the spoilers, my explanation of things definitely didn't justify it, so you should go see the film immediately before it comes out of cinemas. But yeah, I'm back, hopefully, uploading videos. I'm still awkward, as you can see, but you know, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you're excited for my return. Okay, thanks, guys, for watching. So yeah, I'm hopefully back to uploading again. I'm not sure when my next upload will be or what my next video will be, but hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Please like the video if you did enjoy it, and consider subscribing. Since it's free, it takes like 3 seconds. I know how lazy it can be sometimes, but just press it. Just press it. Don't have to press the bell, just press it. Just press the little red button that's either this side or this side. It depends, I don't know, I can't remember. I mean, it's to your left looking at the screen. You know where it is. I'm rambling, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace. So this will probably get just tagged on to the end of the video because I forgot to record it, but I only just thought about it after I recorded my review, but I wanted to show off the Suicide Squad pops so far. But there's also a few Bad Batch ones, but we're not focusing on that. But so they're really cool figures. So I'm still waiting for Captain Boomerang, but that will be my 8 so far. But I've got 5 out of the main 7. I'm waiting for Funko to make a Ratcatcher 2 without her mask on, and then I'm sort of waiting on King Shark for a bit, hoping they do a different version. But if not, then I will get the current version that one's out. But so I've got the main 5 with Harley, Polka Dot Man, 2 versions of Bloodsport, one with the helmet and one without. Just because I thought he doesn't wear the helmet for most of them anyway, and he was my favourite character, so I wanted to buy that one. Rick Flag and Peacemaker, and then TDK was just a fun sort of addition that I wanted to buy because his pop's really funny where he's just holding his arm. But like out of the two that die, out of the ones that die straight away, Captain Boomerang and TDK were my favourites, so that's why I wanted to buy those ones. So yeah, I mean, it's quite dark to see, but you know, they're pretty cool figures. Yeah, just wanted to show these off at the end, but hopefully, well, I guess I would have already said this, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. But stay tuned for more reviews, hopefully coming soon. So yeah, peace.